Hello again, welcome to another video review. Today I'll be looking at a special case from Silverstone. It is the Fortress FT03. Let's take a quick look at the features that Silverstone lists on the front of the box. Firstly, it features a super compact design with no cables coming out of the four sides. This is because they all come out of the top. I will show you how a little bit later. Next we have Silverstone's stack cooling layout with the motherboard rotated 90 degrees. This is a design feature that has been taken from their Raven series of cases and allows hot air to rise and be quickly exhausted out of the top of the case for better cooling. Support for graphics cards of not any length but actually two, which are up to 13.77 inches long if you remove a fan bracket. Next up, just because you have a small case doesn't mean you have to sacrifice on cooling. The FT03 allows installation of CPU heatsinks which are up to 167mm tall. Holes have been cut out near the motherboard tray for easier cable routing. There is one hot swap hard drive bay in the top, and finally passive cooling for the hard drives behind the motherboard tray. Moving over to the side, we get some more specs on the case. This particular one I have here is black, but it also comes in silver and titanium. This case is extremely light, using aluminium panels on the outside with an inner steel body. The case also supports micro ATX, mini DTX and mini ITX motherboards. Unfortunately, to save space on the inside, you'll have to use a laptop style slot loading optical drive rather than the full-size tray loading disk drives more commonly available. Behind the motherboard tray, there is support for three 3.5-inch hard drives and one 2.5-inch SSD. Silverstone includes two 120mm fans in the bottom of the case. You also have the option of mounting two optional 80mm fans. At the top we get one included 120mm exhaust fan, and you get the option of one 92 or 80mm over your graphics cards. There are 4 PCI slots, which will be enough for 2 graphics cards in SLI or Crossfire. On the top we get 2 USB 3 ports, a headphone and microphone jack, as well as your power and reset buttons. Another great thing about this case is that it accepts full-size ATX power supplies up to 180mm long, and finally, as mentioned before, support for graphics cards up to 13.77 inches long. Now let's get to the unboxing. Silverstone takes great care in their packaging of their products with lots of thick foam and protective plastic to prevent scratches. Just a little funny thing I wanted to show you. Inside the box, Silverstone tells you that this is a unique product and that you should read the manual, otherwise you may get very confused trying to install parts into this case. They actually include a pretty comprehensive manual showing you how to disassemble bits off the case to install your parts, connecting up cables, and even component size limitations so you don't get any unwanted surprises. Also, quickly going over the accessories bag, we get a plastic SSD mount, a Molex to triple fan power adapter, a USB 2 to USB 3 internal adapter. This is a great addition, I've never seen one of these before. Some screws for mounting your hardware, and finally 2 cable tie downs. Okay, now onto the case itself. I love the brushed aluminium finish that Silverstone has used on this case. It has a very good quality feel to it and does not attract fingerprints like other black paint finishes. Behind here we get a hole for all your peripheral cables to go into the back, or the top I should say. I think Silverstone has done this so that you can easily put the computer in a corner, but why you would do this I don't know, because this case is awesome and is meant to be for show. Here is your power button, reset button, power and hard drive LEDs, 2 USB 3 ports, and a microphone and headphone jack. The top panel can be easily removed like so. Inside here we get our 120mm exhaust fan, rear I/O here, and the 4 PCI slots. Also up here is the hot swappable drive bay. I will show you more of this in detail later. The front panel can also be removed, revealing some of the inside. You can see that Silverstone has used single pieces of thick aluminium for the case panels, which are rigid but also very light. Down here is a slot cut out for inserting discs into the drive. On the left side panel we get a filtered ventilation panel that can be removed for cleaning. This is for the power supply exhaust and internal fan intake. The left and right side panels can be easily removed by simply pulling up and out. First, let's take a look inside. You can see Silverstone's stack cooling design where cool air is drawn in through the bottom from this fan here. It is directed to this second fan, which can also draw air through the vents in the side panel. And finally it passes over the CPU area and gets exhausted out the top by this fan. Down in the bottom we can install our standard ATX power supply. This mains extension cord actually runs up from the bottom of the case and plugs into your PSU so that all your cables are neatly tucked away. Up here we have a bracket for either a 92 or 80mm fan for cooling your vertically mounted graphics cards. The motherboard tray has pre-installed standoffs for micro ATX motherboards. I think you can just only make them out here. Finally we get holes here and here for routing your motherboard cables. Moving over to the other side we get our usual front panel cables, the HD audio connector, and a USB 3 internal connector. I have seen earlier revisions of this case using ugly blue pass-through cables in the top area, which you have to plug into your rear I/O ports in order to use the USB 3 ports. So this is a great improvement from Silverstone, another thumbs up. This here is your power socket. You plug in your power cable from underneath. Looking up we get the two 3.5-inch drive bays with these yellow rubber grommets to reduce vibrations. In this area we can install our 2.5-inch SSD. Now let me show you how the hot swap drive bay works. First you open the latch on the lid, which springs open. Then you drop your drive in and close the cover. The hard drive plugs into this internal header here. Flipping the case over to the bottom we get a large dust filter which is held on by magnets. Taking this off we can see the large gaping hole for the power supply to intake cool air, and space here for another two optional 80mm fans. Finally, as I mentioned before, the power socket for your PSU is hiding up in here. So that sums up my overview on the Silverstone FT03. Overall it's a genuinely unique product with exceptional build quality and design considerations. In my opinion this is the only case on the market which allows enough room for you to install high performance components such as the X79 platform with dual graphics cards without sacrificing on cooling. If you are after a potent small form factor computer, this is the case to have. Again, thank you for watching and stay tuned for the build I will be doing with this case. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and be sure to check out maximumpcs.com.au for all our high performance computer systems.